Initially, there was a common need that involved reducing tensions through events that were marking a change in the international system. Basically, in the 1960s, a critical thought against violence emerged and was generated both in discourse and in practice. Through different social demonstrations, such as protests in the US for requirement of university students for Vietnam protesting France for their policies, in the Czechoslovakia the search for more human socialism produced a debate on the intention to change this situation. On the other hand, facts like the Soviet-Chinese conflict, the new rivalries and civil wars between France and United Kingdom, the Middle East involved in the Six-Day War, the revolutionary vision and dictatorial processes of the Third War, and the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. They necessarily led to a process of détente between the powers to maintain order in the face of the constant change of the international system.
The first area is environmental protections, which seeks to promote cooperation between the United States and the Soviet Union by finding ways to avoid pollution in atmosphere, water, agricultural production, biological and genetic consequences on the climate and ecological system of the Arctic and subarctic. The mechanism in charge is the Joint Committee for Cooperation in the Field of Environmental Protection in a Minor House. The second area is medical science and health, and its objective is to fight against the most widespread and serious diseases through scientific exchange activities and coordinated scientific research programs. It is supported by the World Health Organization. The mechanism in charge is the Joint Health Cooperation Committee.
The next agreement is about space cooperation. This cooperation is between the NASA and the Science Academy from Moscow. Its primary objective is between the two organizations from each country to work to develop a better relationship between the two countries by using some investigations in space, such as biology from space, exploration from space, making appointments to make missions to space, such as to explore the moon or even another planets, and to share information and scientific advance. The next agreement is about science and technology. Its primary objective is to create and develop a relationship between the scientific advances between the two countries to help reach their own interests. They're going to do this by sharing resources, sharing company knowledge between the two countries.
One of the agreements reached in Moscow was the prevention of maritime incidents. One of its objectives was to guarantee the security of its armed forces at sea and the flight safety of its military aircraft in the sky of the high seas, as activities are decided to stay at a distance to avoid collision risks, regulations of maneuvers, bans on simulating attacks, exchanging information, and using conventional signals. This was given a period of 3 extendable years for its fulfillment, and its mechanism was a special committee. Another of the agreements reached was to regulate commercial relations between the superpowers. This was agreed with a US-Soviet Trade Commission on May 26, 1972, and its objectives were, among others, to negotiate a total trade agreement that includes reciprocal economical treatment. The agreement also contemplates the granting of commercial loans and the construction of a suitable building to house permanent members or visitors of the group's merchants in Washington, D.C. and Moscow.
Well, Washington Agreements in 1973, they are turning total reached by both parties, United States and the Soviet Union. Well, the main objectives for the first agreement is to advance in the production and development of plants, science collaboration in poultry farming, agroecology between others, such as storage fertilizer with the condition that each of the members, meaning the US and the Soviet Union, exchange this new development and scientific information enhanced with collaboration with non-governmental or governmental organizations. In a time-lapse, having well, the second agreement is the International Ocean, that is, was the conjunction investigation by the parties in the area of interaction with the ocean at the very large scale, ocean streams at international scale, research on geophysics and geochemistry at the ocean, and biological productivity. Also, the commitment established by the parties are the exchange of scientific information and collaboration between firms. The third agreement is transport, which primary objective is the collaboration between parties in order to construct tunnels, bridges, railways, national railways, aviation development, and enhance with the areas of tunnel and maritime areas. Agreement in the exchange of information between parties in the time life of 5 years until the end of the agreement. The fourth agreement is contacts, exchange, and collaboration. This agreement emphasized in a general deal in terms of medical, environmental, health science, agriculture, and transport. Also, the teaching from parties in the areas of art, photography, cultural, and civil activities, between others. The condition is the program of exchange in 1924 and 1976 with a protocol of very So tribulation, which is determined which principal objective is to avoid at any cost global tribulation will be avoided by establishing a special connection for public officials and interstate program where citizens may participate. This agreement requires a ratification of both parties, and we are talking about tribulation. We're mentioning where two parties are involved in a difficult situation but want to protect their interests without being worried from the other one.
To conclude, we can relate the international relations with this question because we observe how these relations get absorbed with the past of the Cold War, and how important it is to maintain established relations